everyone, welcome back. I hope everyone is okay. In today's episode, I want to talk about one of the most famous and complex classic in American literature, Moby-Dick by Herman Melville. This is a novel that many people recognize by name, even if they haven't read the entire book. It's known for the image of the white whale, the powerful character of Captain Ahab, and the deep philosophical questions the novel asks about humanity, nature, and obsession. My personal encounter with Moby Dick actually goes back to Erasmus experience. When I was studying abroad at Paris State University, I took an American literature course, and this was one of the books on our reading list. I still remember that class very clearly. Studying American literature while living in another country was already a very special experience. The classroom was international, students from different backgrounds, different perspectives, and different interpretations of the same text. And that made our discussions incredibly rich. When we started reading Moby Dick, I remember thinking that it was not an easy novel. It's long, sometimes very descriptive, and sometimes it even feels philosophical rather than narrative. But at the same time, it was fascinating. The novel begins with one of the most famous lines in literature. Quote, "Call me Ishmael," unquote. From that moment, we follow the narrator Ishmael, who decides to join a whaling ship and travel across the ocean. At the first time, it feels like a traditional adventure story. You imagine the sea, the ship, the sailors, and the journey ahead. But very quickly, the story becomes much deeper. At the center of the novel is Captain Ahab, the captain of the ship, who is completely obsessed with hunting the white whale, Moby Dick. For Ahab, the whale is not simply an animal. It becomes something symbolic, almost like a force of the universe that he wants to defeat. And that obsession slowly takes over his entire life. One of the things that struck me the most when I first read the novel was how powerful the idea of obsession in the story. And Ahab is so determined to defeat the whale that he ignores everything else. Safety of the crew, the logic of the situation, even the possibility that nature cannot control. In a way, the novel asks a very important question. What happens when a person becomes completely consumed by a single idea? And I think that's why the novel is still relevant today. Because obsession can exist in many forms: ambition, revenge, power, control. When those desires become too strong, they can blind us. Another aspect of the novel that really impressed me was the way Herman Melville describes the sea. The ocean in Moby Dick is not just a setting. It feels like a character itself, vast, mysterious, beautiful, and sometimes terrifying. It constantly reminds the reader how small human beings are compared to the forces of nature. And I think that's something we sometimes forget in our modern world. Reading this novel, I was in Paris, also created a very special memory for me. Erasmus was a time of discovery, discovering new cities, new cultures, and new ideas, and literature was part of that journey. Discussing Moby Dick with classmates, hearing different interpretations, and trying to understand Melville's symbolism made the experience much richer. Sometimes literature becomes connected to a specific moment in your life. For me, Moby Dick will always remind of that classroom, those discussions, and that period of intellectual exploration. Even today, when I revisit the novel, I notice new layers. It's not just about a whale or a ship or an adventure. It's really about human minds. It's about ambition, limits, desire to conquer what actually be unconquerable. And that's what makes great literature timeless. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever read Moby Dick? Was it challenging book for you, or did you enjoy its philosophical depth? Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.